Okay, this is day 9 of this 8-pair demo. And when I started it out, I didn't trade at the market. I traded on stops and I traded on limits. But by day 3, I switched the whole thing to limit only. And I'm running drop orders. And since the week's been going on, I've been writing longer and longer term orders. So I wrote a pack of 8 or so weekly orders here. And this way, I don't have to pay attention so much to this account. So I took profits once, I think. Once accidentally. So one time I was clearing off other accounts and I hit this one by accident. So I could get out right now and take some money off the table. But I haven't been doing that because some of this did cash out. I'm trying to come up with risk plans that match the ATR of the market. So this here is going to buy 60 pip area. It's going to buy 3 tickets spread over 60 pips with a 20 pip stop, looking to make 60 pips. So if I put it down here, it would have been great. And it's not, it's just a big area trade. A more focused trade would be 20 pips, 3K and 20 pips. So here's 5 on 12. So every 2 pips it's going to buy here. So if I had put it down here back in the day here, way back down here, it would look like that, and that's looking to make 50 pips, which looks like not too much there, but that'd be a fantastic trade for anywhere along the way here to make 50 pips. You just said how much you want to make. Sounds pretty retarded, but it's true. You'd say I want to make 90 pips off this bottom. So if I had put it back here on this day, and you could put more than one in there, so you just keep dropping. It's 3K. It's going to cost you $10 for this. They're going to make 90 pips with a 30 pip stop. So you put it down here, you made your 90. You made way more than that, a dollar CAD, if you were to place that one trade plan down there at the end. So right now I could scalp out everything I'm in, but I decided to just go with pure limits on this thing and let them play out through their ratios, so that way this is a 50 pip grid on here. And this was the trade that some guy was saying, oh, this thing's going up, you should buy it and buy it on pullbacks. Well, I'd say you could have scalped it off of this wick here earlier. But that's it. You know, you have to, this is the one I said, start selling this puppy, but it doesn't mean that you're not range trading that, because you're really range trading it. Like here's the channel. Plenty of money to be made. This is moving in a 150 pip zone here. So if you sold that very tippy top, and this was, so last week, when the week started, like here was the climax here. Any of these areas here are great. Placing orders in this zone here and constantly cashing out anything in here, even though it's, you know, like I said, it's going to be choppy, but I think it's doomed. I think it's doomed all the way back to here. So I'm going to buy here off of this, and I would just place all these orders right now based on these structure levels. So if I go to the 1 hour, it's completely ridiculous. I'd be buying it right here. So I would have bought it on the 1 hour. It would have looked like something like I have some scalps here, so for a scalp it would look like this. This will last for an hour. So that trade looks completely different than this monster swing capture down here. So I'm trying to capture the market plunging. The look at this support at the 50. But see how they, you see how your order would have been placed here with the scalp off the new lows. So you would have been in on that wick and cashed out. It's very small pip ratio. It's like here's 12 pip area to just trade, and your target's going to be the previous floor. So if you go to trade this thing bouncing for the next hour, like say the news was coming out, put an order in like this, makes sense. Market rockets down, hits it, comes slicing back. Here's your classic channel here. There's a channel on this is the 1 hour chart. Now certainly this is painfully obvious, and if you have you don't mind making, you know, a high probability amount of pips there, here's your classic staircase, you know, for this until it's over. If you look at the 4 hour, you can see the problem is that you're coming up against this major closing top here. So it's not too hard to figure out that you want to sell up here and buy down here. Now, if you're too late to the sell train, you got to go to the 5 minute. And you got to see that you would have gone short right there maybe. But now your targets are tiny targets. So I'm trying to endure the swing of this. Day 9. I'm up like $200. Now that's because I didn't clear off and reload. Now here I could have, and I wasn't really babysitting this so much as my real money. But here was the catch trade, get an inside day, and then you got this climax here. It pulls back. You just can't see the internal story there. It's up, down, up, down. The daily doesn't show you the true nature of that. So if you waited for 2 weeks, this would pay out pretty good. This account would probably make about $1,500 if I held it through the weekend into the new year. I was in about 2,500 of margin at max swing here. So this is my sell bank up here, previous support. I just put in a, like here's a, with a 15 pip stop to make 30 pips on a, the market goes rocketing up into say, this high. It's got to get there today though. Not likely. So maybe this is more realistic to sell the very top of that. But these are all 1Ks, and it's quite a bit. I don't know how many orders are in here right now. Some of this stuff's supposed to be cashing out pretty soon, so they tell me. These 12-hour orders, I mean, you could totally stand back. This is 8 pairs and trade all this stuff because now 50 pips. This one's maybe 120. That's going to make $12 before it gets out of that. There's quite a bit of orders in here. Very order rich. But this is no different than the coffee shop scenario I talk about. It's just not going to take the whole profits key here and be up a whole $250. Basically where I started, or I just add on pullbacks. If I really think this is, I just got out of about $500 a margin, I would just say, okay, well, buy me more here when it pulls back. I want to buy any pullback today, and if it keeps smashing, some of this stuff's in here all week long. Like these are all day. It's going to sit here and try to buy this new low. So you just have to place the orders in there. This thing I'm looking to sell when it comes up into the top. And clips the top of these trees. This is your obvious buy signal back here, so not a lot of pips, 50 pips there. You got top become a bottom. This thing's crawling back from the punishment of it all. But this is the thing you had to buy the new lows at the 50. That was the strategy there. Now it's probably time to cash out of something. It's pulling back. So that's the problem. They're all commingled together. There's 8 pairs. I don't have a close just for this, but I would close out of some of that. But see, the take profits aren't even near getting hit. And if you look at the history of movements here, it's possible for the market to get there. Now, this is boring the hell out of me, this damn account. And it just because it doesn't trade frequently enough, and being up $800 at some point in here is just so ridiculous because you just want to get out, reload the gun. So that's just going to have to wait on that thing. It's creeper gear stuff. It's boring. This is kind of exciting because I think it's going to smash through the floor here. And I'll be cashing out up into this wick. There's another one that hasn't taken profit yet. So watching that thing smash down. See, I'm actually short that thing. I sold quite a bit of dollar up there, especially on this this top here. So all these were still holding off of that treetop, selling anything that touches that. So sold everything in this 50 pip window up there. And up 50 pips. It's up 500. If it was my real money, I'd get out right now. And I mean, if you can handle holding through this whole climax of the dollar here, it's going to come down. Stock market's screwed. I mean, this is just so stupid. It's the end of the year. Come on. People have to balance. It reminds me of the end of a session. It's a session rollover. It just happens to be the end of the year. It's just stupid. Markets are so dumb. This is going up, obviously. So it's all about how heavy do we sell up here. Well, I'm gonna sell pretty fucking heavy because I'm sick of it. I'm gonna go to the weeklies, and I'm so tired of placing these orders now. That's why I built these weeklies, so I could just stand way back and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna place, and I place them right on the wick there, so I know why I put them there. And I'm gonna just sell heavy, super heavy up here, and try to get a different price now. And just pepper the whole thing up there. It's going up there. Come on. And if it doesn't, then I don't lose. But I want to stay away from the stop entries, or even buying at the market right now as you break out and take out the high of last week on the daily, and you're going after this price up here. Come on. So I'll sell everything up here real heavy. Here, 25 pips. Trying to duplicate the orders. And that's it. It's just so utterly boring. This is screaming back from the abyss. This has the highest potential to really go screaming up. Anything up here is a good sell. So they trapped these people underneath the we had to start getting out here. This is where I'm going to go short and go the other way for just the scalp of it all. Not like a big swing trade like it's going to come retracing all the way back, because that rarely happens. Usually has to go through a chop phase. So we'll trade the chop. This thing has serious potential to come back to this doji here for a scalp. So the easiest thing to do is place the scalp orders, because it's a lot easier to think about making 30 pips than it is making 300 pips, finding a place to put that order on the chart. It's all about finding a place. So these are my risk plans. I'm looking for a place to place my risk. And, the trade plan is it a buy or sell, I suppose. Initially, it's how much you're going to risk. Same thing here as the dollar comes smashing back to previous support. I'm going to put in the scalps, because Friday we could get this all the way back to here, and we see a little chatter bounce like this. All we need to have is this kind of behavior here. All you need is this bullshit and you're making money. Like as soon as you come into this, start filling these guys, you're cashing out of the shorts as you're coming into these, and you get a bounce like that. And if it finishes there, who cares? You're short into it, long off this, long off that, or what have you. Tight stops, and we start tightening up these stops too. Now, when I first started, I had your classic. Now, I don't do any break even because it's bad enough I'm trading. This is like not even that, because if you put the spread in there and whatever have you, but this is going to buy a 40 pip range, 3 tickets. I hope I did that right. So it's going to buy here at 0, it's going to buy at 20, and it's going to buy at 40. From the cursor drop, it's going to last all week long. So you can place all this stuff on Sunday night. This is 60 pip range 3, which is going to get in 0, 30, 60. And this is some monster reward, but it's going to stop you out since you're buying at 30. You're going to go, the account's going to go flat for 30 pips. So there is no master stop. You're going to get in, and then the stops are in between that. Well, that's the format I chose for this. So, but that's the risk. So go back to the live market here. So I'm up 500. Wow. Big fucking deal. I was up 800 on this bounce here. I could have dumped and reloaded, especially if I would have had, you could see that this was going to sell off. They trapped the, in the long run it's going up, but this, yesterday, you just clip the top of these 3 days and they rip it all the way back to here. So I bought down here at the bottom. So if I would have had the, if I would have just also closed per individual symbol, saying, okay, that thing's climax, but it's basically about the dollar getting its ass kicked. Now it's kind of a domino effect. As the dollar crashes, it comes in. Who's kicking the dollar's ass first is the New Zealand dollar, obviously. And so who's to follow? And then the British pound's having a bitch of a time. But once these guys are cashing out into this, the way is to orchestrate this, because supposedly these are instruments, right? So you're looking to orchestrate this whole demo account and this swing thing, because if you're scalping like a meth head on the other account, and you're making some kind of money on a 1 hour chart, then in the background you got this whole other scheme where you got this creeper gear trade like this where you can't fucking believe you're still in it. And you just like, okay, let that thing go, and at least you don't have, you can put this on a laptop. You probably want to, because you don't even want to see what's going on in here. But I'm going to hit the pause and we'll go back to my scalping, come back to this thing. It's just after 1 o'clock in the morning. Here comes the 2-minute traders. Now, on the other charts, you can see, oh man, that's a great setup. Just get the hell out. I mean, I would have dumped the British pound about an hour ago. Like, if you looked at this, you'd just say, if you're switching time frames, it's a big problem. So, in the daily, you could see you wanted to get the hell out here. Once they took out this wick, you right at the floor there, right? That's your targets. Somebody's target. Certainly would have been mine if I would have rode this whole puppy. And here's another example how trend lines don't work. Is that here's your uptrend, here's your established uptrend there, and then you can draw another line here. Let's say you have a little baby channel there, and that's it. I mean, it's fantastic. 50 pip trade right there. You buy this second bottom because you know this first one exists. You ride it through there. Now, last night, I don't know if anybody was watching this thing last night, but this candle right here, or this bar, this is fucking insane. I mean, if you were long this thing, when this came around, actually, that wasn't even it. But that's another example. That was another one. It was right after we went up. I think maybe this is it. The market went berserk. You have to go to the smaller time frame to see it. Yeah, this all these moves. Look how vicious this thing is. It looks very smooth and clean. Like, what a great retrace. God, you bought down there. Oh boy. Like, this deceiving. Now you're back to the floor. Here's the 4 hour. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? When they take it up to, really. Okay, so look how they clip the top of that tree and take it down to the bottom of this one. Bam, bam. That's just like, yeah. Look at these wicks. Are you kidding me? That's a whole trade right there. That's the whole trade. You have a buy limit sitting on the top of that thing and cashed out. Now this looks like a completely ordinary, like, look, it's going up. And then they just take it right up to that top, right into this window between the closing price and the wicks. Blammo. But then again, this is the buy down here. Now this looks like a perfect trend drift up here where you have up, pullback drift. Now this is the Brownian drift. So I've been studying this Brownian stuff. This has to do with the randomness of the market. Certainly fascinating. This is where everybody's supposedly building their stochastics off of. Although I have a problem with when they say stochastics, because that's not exactly what people put on the bottom of their screen. It's not stochastics. It's stochastics, but it ain't this. I don't know. As soon as you start putting a number on it, you kind of screw it. You really can't put a number on this stuff. The market creates its own number. So here's supposedly a buy in the dollar CAD. Pulled back. The buyer should come in here. Top become a bottom. So if I was short this thing, which I am, I would take all my winners off right here. So I'd intervene on the account. But because I think that it's going to just keep tanking, I'm just going to let it go. Same thing with the dollar yen. I think it's going to keep tanking. Hopefully my buy limits I just put in there are going to evaporate before we hit the... of course, another thing with all these fucking tickets in here, I just got involved in this buy I don't want to be in. So that's a problem. All these tickets, to go search down that ticket, you're going to have to go by price. Looking for the dollar yen buy. So here's the buy limit dollar yen. You got to take this off. This is a terrible trade now. And that's going to last an hour, but at this time of day, the market comes slamming down, so we're going to ride the short to here. And I'll trade the bounce off of this doji. So I cover this whole doji with these orders here for a scalp. I don't think it's going to really bear much fruit. It's not like it's going to come here and then go back to the ceiling. So I do think it was... Of course, if you go to the weekly, which was my whole thing last week, saying that this has had it. If you go to the monthly, it's like, forget about it, right? You sold all the way up in there. You're up 200 pips off of anything you put up in this nosebleed section. And a lot of people are going to get out here because this is the support. So I'll trade the bounce off support. I could put all those orders in for next week. Hell, you could put those in there for a month off of that level. Because if you go to the other time frames, it's going to look pretty crazy. Like, well, I can't believe you put an order that deep. It's also the trap for the where there would be stops for the Super Bulls. Put their stops there, so it's a huge. But you can place a whole scalp bank down here. So scalping doesn't mean that you have to sit in front of your screen. You can place all the scalps down in this thing. Okay, here comes the pound. So the pound on the hourly looks great, right? I mean, it's beautiful. Plus, it looks like it's not even begun to retrace. Once they take out the high of that 4 hour, you can see this thing's wants to engulf. You would engulf all the way to here, so you put your sell limits up here for the scalp off of that floor. And you just start stacking them in like this, and you don't have to much worry about that if you can handle the risk. If you do the math on the stop, this is going to cost you $4.50. But it adds up. You know, it adds up. All these 8 pairs, it adds up. Okay, this is screaming north. This is breaking out in the daily. Put everybody in the daily time frame. And you can see that the target for the daily is the floor that was taken out back here on the when you fell right through this when you just closed the first close below that and it just tumbled down in. That will certainly be the target, and all these colored olive ones or whatever, that's my target flank coming back into it. So we got it today and tomorrow. So it's and plus yesterday was Wednesday, which means it's usually the big spike out, which it was. So this is the Wednesday trap that you typically see. Makes a new low for the week right there. And this one had already had its low. This is the most likely to come screaming back, and so this week I'm going to put everything selling up here for some kind of crazy move. It may never happen. Okay, this guys can't wait to come back. These guys over here are just dying to fly back up into here. So put all the scalps in for the week. So you can scalp a whole window. And I guess it would be a swing trade for a 1 hour trader. It would be a swing trade like this whole move here. Buying this whole plunge all. If you bought new lows starting right here, you bought there all the way down for all of 25 pips, you are up 50, 75, and definitely going to hold till here. Dump the whole thing. Put in scalp banks here because it's going to get out. There'll certainly be a little bit of a battle here. So if you're expecting a 10 to 20, 15 pip battle, you'd put in those ones that fit that situation. And then again, next week you have buy limit ice packs down here to get out here, and you just get the ratios better and better. 30 to make 90, and you really have to orchestrate it, unless you're willing to hit the take all profits key every now and then reload. And if I hit the take all profits key right now, I would definitely keep the pendings there. And I might even buy for the pullbacks. So if I was getting out, say everything right now, I would come in like this and buy that, retest of that. And here I would still buy. So here comes the dollar. Yeah. So this would be a really broad-based, scalp-orientated. This is 15 stop with 30 pip take profit. So the idea is that everything goes off, bing bang bong, but it really takes looking ahead at what the zones are for reversal. So I'm trading pure zones. I don't have an exact trade order. If dollar yen tanks, I suspect a high probability this dollar CAD, dollar Swiss is going to tank. Dollar Swiss is staring down these wicks to be crushed out today. So I'm expecting a end of the week crush. Dollar. So there's a semi. So the bounce in the euro is kind of like the first accumulation phase there, because there still could be just an accumulation phase. And if I would have dumped a few days ago on a bounce, a couple bounces in there, But I didn't have these weeklies written, and I wasn't. Now, if I go to the 1 hour and you sit here and stare down just this 1 hour chart, it's a really different world, and you could just trade at the market here. You know, maybe you're short off of this thing, some confirmation entry. You're taking a bunch of risks there, but the close below there, you're short right now. Or you're going to go short as soon as it takes out this new thing, this new law. So whether you got short here is on this trendline break is a whole different situation than if you get short right now and you're looking to scalp the plunge from here for the next 50 pips, and you just get the hell out and maybe start buying for some kind of bounce like this. If this was a 4 hour order or something like that. So I do have some 8 hour orders that would be scalps. So here is a very tight zone. This is going to buy for 6 pips. So it's all about these order placement. This is a 12 pip range, so if I'm going to buy everything just below the 50 for a little mini bounce. There's another 8 hour mini bounce. Here's the scalp, 8 pips to make 18, 8 hours. So you can see the target would be at least near where the bottom dropped out. So if you really aggressively, and then without duplicating, you put another order bank here. These are all 8 pip stops, 12 pip zone. Same thing here, all the way down. You can lay all the scalps in like that. They could be weekly orders too. This is as close as I have as a 20 pip zone weekly. But this will be the moment of truth today when we approach this, and you usually get a violent first blast down, and if it's just a trap, it's going to come up and do a chatter thing and then reverse. But it looks like they're hell-bent on crushing the dollar bits right now. As I see coming into London, open here, looks like an all-out assault. And I fix the scale on all these. If you hit F8 on the keyboard, I fix the scale so I can just focus on 50 pips, 100 pips, whatever your target is. Here, this should be cashing out pretty soon. So I'll lose some margin, but I'll get off the table. And swing trading like this, if I can make another $300, this cashes out. We end up with 50,800, which that's what I was at for the first bounce. This first bounce here, I was up about 70 pips off that bottom. And I did trade on stops there, but this is pure limits, no market orders. I just wanted to see what happens. Trading in a limit-only entry, and therefore I had to say last night that since I could only place limit orders, I had to kind of figure, well, then what I'll do is stay with the winners and add to the losers. So when the market smashed back down yesterday again on this, I just put more limits in on the on this retest. It was sloshing around here. So here's where I could have cashed out and really made some money there. Went short there, but I didn't. I have buy limits down here, so I'm up. These should cash out, hopefully to here today. I might get a slight pop above, and this is the sell window. Okay, so we have to wait now. This is the hardest part. Could nick this wick and just pop up there and cash out some. So 17, 39 margin, and no stop. I don't think I have a stop wider than 30 pips on all this stuff. Unless it's super wide. Here's a 35 pip stop. So I'm running all these serious grid drops. Now here's a 60 pip stop. I do have these in here, and that's that one that's looking to make 12 bucks. So I got filled on this monster drop. It looks like this. Covers a huge area, and this is a logarithmic where it puts them in fatter at the bottom. There's more tickets at the bottom there. Okay, wait for the wheels to come off. The dollar yen, dollar CAD's got to keep crushing back, and this top bottom's got to fail here. Just keep coming back. This New Zealand I want to cash out, so I let that thing go. I don't want to take all profits because it's kind of a yin and it's kind of a back and forth as far as the dollar getting smashed. So we got the bottom of the hour, and then you got about an hour and a half here till market opens. I had to take a nap, and I always have nightmares of not getting filled on my orders. So here it is. Bond market's going to open up in 4 minutes, and the news is coming out. And here was the scalp. If you were on the dollar yen, you could have scalped this little wick here. If you put your buy limits here, you could have scalped that. If you put this was the top, become a bottom. This is about a 40 pip wick of destruction. This is why you also want to think about this as an entry on the dollar CAD. If you're looking to scalp it or looking to get long, you would just put your order at that previous closing price. So you'd be up 40 pips. This you would have scalped the top. You would have sold that. This is a retest of the thing. It failed. You could have sold up there to make 20 pips. And here you could load up on the dollar. You could have bought the this little vacuum there, scalped it here, and now you just sit back and wait for the wheels to come off a little bit. Could have cashed out the whole thing at $600 off last night, but it didn't because because I'm staying with the swing. Although I did get out of stuff because I was in 2000. I was at 1700 there when I started the video, and now we just cashed out of something. We banked a couple bucks, and now I should see less equity swing because I'm in a smaller position. But I'm only looking to get filled on more buy limits. If this goes down, I put the limits in there. So I'll buy the pullbacks again, and this time I'm going to go for a 65 pip target, buying a 12 pip zone. And this is a daily, this lasts for a day. And here I'd put this down here again. So I don't think I got it filled on any of that stuff, and I cashed out of something there, but not everything. There's a couple take profits still floating from so the bond market will have an effect in 2 minutes, and then we'll see the news. This never made it up to these sell limits, but I don't think I'm in anything here. This is totally not engaged in any trade there. Okay, got 1 minute till the bond market opens. That's the dot market in Chicago. Okay, 5 minutes till news. Looking for the dollar to get crushed to pieces. Alright, so I'm going down, I'm up 355 bucks, less margin. And if it goes with no margin, hits all the targets, I should make like 800 bucks, I'm guessing. Well, it looks like news in 10 seconds. So $350 I'm up, 350 bucks, and using $1,300 of margin. And I'm quietly stirring my Gartley cup. Yes, you too can have a Gartley cup for $300 a piece. Alright, so here we go. News out. $295. And I'll wait for the 5-minute traders to come in, and look, I picked up a few more tickets here on the pullback. So I'm going to delete all this stuff so I can see the prices. And now I'm looking to buy this new low here. I'm going to buy this top. I'm going to buy the New Zealand dollar if it comes back to this top, and that's a 50 pip winner. The target's where we're at right now, and this is going to be more aggressive, come underneath. So I'll say bye-bye to the dollar. That's what I'm saying. See, you wouldn't want to be bye-bye. Bye-bye dollar. Bye-bye. I'll buy the euro. My pullbacks. Looking to make... so instead of buying at stops, I'm buying just below with a big target, 65 pips. Here too. 50 pips, 20 pip stops on this one. New Zealand. So the New Zealand did pop up there. You could have scalped off the top of that. All those targets were hit just above. Okay, here we go. So I'm waiting to get filled on a pullback of any of these currencies. I just placed a bunch of orders. And since I can't, I'm not trading on stop entry or market order, I'm waiting for the market to come to me, waiting for it to pull back into this top here. And I'll buy more of any of these guys. And this one, I'm slightly short. But I'll sell if it comes up here. These are weekly orders sitting up at the top there, in case it goes screaming up there for some reason. Same thing here. If it goes up there, it'll get filled. So I picked up a few more K here on the pullback in the pound. I don't have the exact script written I want here right now, but I'm going to do a separate video about these kind of universal drops. You just have to make sure that you don't put them above like a stop order. So they're drops, but kind of they're like if you put it above, it becomes a sell. You put it sell limit. You put it below, it becomes a buy limit. There's no stops in there. Okay, here comes the looks like dollar yen's going to go up. Dollar CAD's going to try to go up. This is going to go up into my sell limits. Now I did place these for a weekly because I don't want to come back and redo all this crap. It's painfully obvious where the sellers are going to come in. So I just peppered the whole thing here. And now we're waiting for the final gust of wind to take us through these wicks. There's 2 bars there. So it's very simple. Only looking back a couple days here, just trying to make whatever pips you see on the screen, and that's it. Now they trapped the bears below the floor here on close, and this is the oh, there's another trick here. If you could take the cursor here, because every time I rifle up and down, it jerks back and forth. So just using the cursor keys to dial in, and there's all my profits. All these guys here. Now the profits are this color here. Stop levels are also profits. Forest green and slate gray is the entry. This is going through the floor. So you could say, well, aren't they trapping the bears here? Well, maybe it's lights out for this damn thing. So I'd buy if it smashed off of, say, in a 12 pip range, I'd buy a smash off of this handle here. So, you know, this trade here is something that you could set there all week long. You could put a whole basket of scalps in there, bounces off of that level. So you get this chatter, and you just have money. You just have money. You don't have to be there to watch RSI, stochastics, fill in the blank. Okay, so we're going to hold through the stock market's going to open here. The stock market's probably going to get crushed. It's the end of the year. It's as simple as that. Okay, it looks like the pound's making a move here, and the I deleted some tickets here. I'm going to do a video. Next video I'm going to do on all these. Here's a great script to have. Close ticket. Now you can just pluck off the ones I think that are too close to the markup. You could just drop it near whatever ticket you want to delete. You can't even see them. There's so many orders in there you can't see it deleting. But this closes the ticket. You can see them disappear over here. And this would be the liftoff point. So you don't have to trade all night long. You can just look at the 4-hour chart, look for entry on the 4 hours. You can sleep for 8 hours. There's 2 bars to fill up, and I got the daily here just so I can see the big picture. You know, this is the big boys trade. But yeah, I'm just worried about a few pips here. So the like if you zoom out, you know, it's just ridiculous. Why would you want to go out more than, I got about 20 bars of data here. This is 50 pips, and if I know if I'm running a 60, I'm going to buy 60 pip plunge. So it would look like this, a 60 pip area with 15 pip stops. Wherever you drop this right on the cursor, you should put it right on the tip of the money management bots. We have to wait for this market to trade though. The only problem with this broker is if there's no updates, or any broker, if there's no update on these charts, there's going to be no drops. It just came in. So you buy the first stop hunt there, and then this is kind of a scalp orientated. Here's a big slightly different entry. Always pick a slightly different price. This way you have a nice diversification, little iceberg down there. Okay, waiting for that follow through into the stock market open. Stock market, hopefully the wheels are going to come off today. I don't have a stock chart up here, but I can whip one up here. But I usually don't like to look at that. I just figure, hey, just trade what you're watching out the dashboard of your own car. I'm sure the stocks were down 90 points, trying to make that round handle of 20,000 on the Dow, and whether it makes or not doesn't is inconsequential to this trade. So we're just gonna trade what we see and see what we trade, or whatever that saying is that everybody claims to be. Well, that's my key, my secret to making money in the market. So here's the Dow Jones coming up on the infamous round number. But looking at the monthly, would you buy that right there? I got some stupid robot on here. Get rid of that thing. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? The weekly. Would you buy that? Okay. The daily. Yikes. 4 hour. Oh boy. So it's already in a downtrend. That's like a 5-period moving average. Or something like that. What the hell is that? It's like a 9. There was the last buy on the 4 hour. Here's where you put your sell limit. You got to sell high, you put your sell limit there. You don't know if you're going to be wrong. Supports here. If you want the confirmation entry, you sell right here. Here the buyers are coming in. It gets near that moving average. You're supposed to sell, but it may not even make it there. It might just make it to the floor it just took out. So that's a 4 hour. And if this continues tanking today, then you would have to say that it's baked. It's plus this huge void down here. This big hole looking to get filled. I don't have my rectangle. But anything, once you start going down into this thing, then you got to figure. And here's a little flag, top become bottom right there. So this would be your target if you're short. Dow Jones. Still getting pulled back here before the news, before the market actually opens. If you go to the 1 hour, The scalpers took advantage of that new low. They bought right down there. They're up on that trade. Buy new lows works all the time. Buy the previous day's low for the scalp to here. And if it doesn't work, then hopefully you got a 12 pip stop or 20 pip stop, and not going to blow up your account on one idea. So multiple ideas. This is the yen across the board. Everything against the yen. So some guy did a video, everything against the yen, and he said you should buy this dollar yen because it's the smoothest behavior. And he says that the market doesn't walk up a nice stairway. Well, it does all the time. It walks up a beautiful stairway, but breaking that trend line. And he said, well, which one is the best one to trade out of all these charts? And I'm like, how does a guy give a class, a course, and he hasn't taken the time to just make it really simple here? It always boggles my mind that people want to overcomplicate it. So you have triple bottom break here, doesn't hold, sellers come in. Another simple trend line to draw. Does that look like a perfect trend line? Yes. Keep buying at the trend line, keep dumping at the top of the channel. Buy, dump, buy, dump. Perfect daily channel. Just child's play, but it's not a bunch of pips. It's not a bunch of pips. That's the only problem, is people aren't satisfied. This is a maybe they are satisfied. I don't know. It seems like people are always looking for some amazing thing to avoid. This is 100 pips. So, and as you go to the guppy, you can see that you got to open your wallet a little bit bigger. So here's a guppy trade on trend lines and close. This is really the skeleton of the market. When you go to the hospital, they usually do an X-ray view first thing. That's the first analysis they do. So if you're analyzing the market, and here's the Andrews pitchfork. You keep trading off of this, keep feeding off of this as you're moving the average down the middle. So where was the place to sell that? Well, you could have, if you had enough money in your account, you could have started selling for the next 200 pips up, and you'd be up on that trade 400 pips off the top of the top, the worst, where you just started really doubting your buy low sell high theory. And even here you had to doubt it, because you're aware of the fact there's a channel there. This is the daily, so you'd have to place your orders. I wouldn't go to the other time frame because it's not going to matter. Because if tops become bottoms and bottoms become top, you just put your sell limit up here if you wanted to go short. Or sell up there. If you sell right now at the market, I'd say do it on an hourly chart. So every time you get a signal, you could buy one at the market and buy one in a limit. So you wouldn't buy anything. You would have bought here, 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 and you don't buy that, and you buy that. So you'd buy. You're getting clobbered. You're getting stopped out. But if you limit your trigger pull to 24 possible market orders per day you could place. Here's a beautiful top become a bottom at the round number. That's where you're going to make that. And here's it traps up into here. Yeah, slow meltdown, trap, come back. Now you're going to buy limits here for a bounce. Okay, stock market opens up in like 12 minutes. We're getting a huge pullback in here. Hopefully I get filled on more tickets, get more margin going. So I picked up a few, only up 250 bucks now. Could have cashed out last night. Still looking for this to play out. If this comes back, I'll buy more. Trying to make 60 pips here, buying the 30 pip range. Anything from right here down. And you can make these staggered. You can space them any way you want inside the script. And then here's a scalp. 40 pip range. Those are all scalps. I could see putting that down here. Hang it off the bottom of that. Okay, the real market in 11 minutes. Yeah, 11 minutes. So 10 minutes right now. Waiting. About 30 seconds till the stock market opens. And I'm looking for that kickback washout before the big move. And I just placed more orders in there. Super tight. 12 pip range. 15 pip range here to make 40 pips with and this is my logarithmic, my fancy compressed order. 15 pip range for that starting right here, and then it just buys nice and fat near the end of the wick. So I'm going to lay it on everybody here. Everybody gets a little bit, a dose, just below the current price. Those stocks are open. If this could fill $2,000 of margin right now. Come back, compress, load up on these limits, and then go rocketing up and have the dollar crash down into my buy scalps down here. And then ricochet off those. That's the scenario today. I just have to wait for it to unfold. I don't know if there's really a correlation between the dollar and the stocks, but the stock market is screaming up. It busted out of this. So it's looking for the sellers to come in now at that bottom. And we're trying to get filled on the pullbacks on the British pound right now. So this is the pullback. I put just a pile of orders in here. Certainly the British pound's the weakest, the lagger. Australian dollar is really strong here, coming up into the floor. So I bought this at the market on a pullback into fair value. So right now it still hasn't made a big leap where this is already popped its cork, and I'll buy in pullbacks and fair value here. So for 4 hours, I would buy this area. Still looking for this to smash down. So I'd buy a scalp off of, say, well, they're not really scalps. I guess you have to put it pretty wide. Here's a crazy order. It's going to buy this whole area. The take profit is going to be the bottom of that wick. So you're risking 60 to make 120 pips here. So if it comes unwrapped and it ricochets around in there, it'll be a great trade. Still looking for pullbacks on this. Going to put the 75 pip winners in. Super dense pack here. 12 pip range for 8 hours, just below where we're at. Looking to make 50 pips. So you don't need to go to the other time frame. You just buy a retest of yesterday's close here. Looking to make 20 pip stop to make 50 at 12 pip range. You can place it right on the low. So it's just got 1 day left in the market. Okay, getting a nice buy signal on the pound now. Get about that at the market. If you just reduce your market trades to trading only every 4 hours or every hour, because inevitably, if you have any clue as to where the market's kind of itching to go to, you can see the hole filling. You can see a sideways market. It's pretty obvious in some way what's about to happen next. Like, you're just predicting if you're scalping, you're just predicting the weather for the next 10 minutes or 4 hours. This swing trading stuff is pretty brutal because you got to wait maybe 5 days to get paid. I don't know if there's any more news. Top of the hour, the market should be moving. Should make a decision. Of course, top of the hour, you could have a chance to buy the today only. Buy the British pound at the top of the hour, and it's because it's going down right now. It's down on the 4-hour. Or wait till the 4-hour. If you only traded the 4-hour chart, you got 6 market orders a day. On 8 currencies, you should be able to guess, are you in a buy or sell zone? And not every one of these is going to have a signal if you're on the 4-hour chart. Now the daily, maybe you only buy this double bottom and you made your money. You placed a buy limit here this week to buy this retest, and that's your whole trade, and you just cleaned up. Same thing here. You bought a retest of this area. You're done. You sold the top. Here, there's no, your sells didn't get triggered. Here, you sold this, and you were up on the trade last night. You had to get the fuck out. If your stop was there, that's a break-even trade. Okay, so I go back to real time here, waiting for the top of the hour. So I picked up a few more tickets on limits, and here's the top of the hour's coming. So we're expecting this to go off like dominoes that you line up all day long, and expecting this to just go off, and it just goes blam, and it unfolds, and in 4 hours you got money. That's the idea here. And crude oil's coming out in 31 minutes for crude oil report, 32 minutes. If you had to buy at the market, 10 o'clock, I'd buy the cheapest thing on here is the British pound, it looks like, so you'd buy one here at the market, and maybe you'd buy one here if you thought that this was going up. And you could go cover 8 of these with a 100 pip stop, and it's going to cost you $8 or $80 to risk all that. So simply based on this, euro is going to kill the pound here. You expect the pound to come down. So I put even more orders down below. I'm going to let this run to its targets, since I'm trying to keep it without touching anything, keeping all the original trade plans and trading around the plan. So you basically forcing yourself to, if you trade like this style, you're forcing yourself to pick a price and let the market come to you. And if it doesn't, oh well. It's just like not taking the trade. But 8 pairs, I could certainly think of a bunch of trades here. Same thing here if it pulls back. Of course, this is the daily, so we're already off to the races. We get a retest to that top, which is 50 pips deep. And then maybe there's one more bounce in there of, say, in 4 hours, if it comes down, there's a bounce of 30 pips and a bounce off of this. So you're saying in 4 hours, could that come down and ricochet off of that? 8 hours, could it do, with a more liberal stop of 15 pips, could it do that? And could it plunge all the way down here and stop everybody and then finish back in the middle of the road? So it's either going to finish on the edge, it's going to come back to the center point, or it's going to finish on the other upside edge. There's only 3 possible outcomes for every narrow, like this is the classic top bottom on the daily. Bam, you would have to load up heavy on that 50-yard line. You'd be up 50 pips right now. You'd be out of the trade, out of something of the trade. When this comes up into this spot here, start selling the very first wick up there for the next 8 hours to make, say, 30 pips off a ricochet up into that zone. Then the other ones, if you really thought that this, as this is coming up into here, hopefully you're cashing out on this. So you're trying to create this multiple domino sets on one floor. So one platform you got, or I prefer the shuffleboard analogy, metaphor, that it's like this is the path of the, or you're doing curling or something. You're trying to, the orders of the broom, so you're doing curling or something like that. And the momentum, things coming at you. Some guy asked me about Renko charts. Can you draw a trend line on Renko? Sure, why not? You can draw a trend line on your puppy dog. And the pattern of his, so the pattern traders, They have a pattern there, and the price traders are just going to trade price. You sell high, you buy low. So I'm trading price today. I could put the pattern on top. I could say it's a flag, but unless I have a trade plan for a flag, it's kind of tough. Getting a huge pullback in the pound here. No surprise, since you can see if you just ran these three currencies, you could see you could see the inner cog of the wheel turning. As you have a tripod, kind of a isosceles triangle there. So Europe, and the pound are right. Those guys are neighbors. So you have the same thing in the dollar CAD, that kind of squeeze thing. So this is why this guy, this wackadoodle Indian trader, is using the pip predator guy's using Australia, New Zealand, because he claims he loves it, because yeah, it has a trend. I mean, as brutal as it looks in terms of this, there's some times when it of course, this great range traders market too. Looking at this floor here and having a big basket of orders down here that lasts all week long. And this video is really for people that have a day job, don't have time to babysit this bullshit. Now, you got 3 months to play. You had 3 months to place this ricochet order. If this is a fib handle, that's all the better, right? It's wonderful. Look at this window here. If you block off all the noise, if you bracket the noise there, look at this is the range of that thing. Good God, man. So if all you did all week was focus on one instrument, that's why people say trade one instrument. I'm trading the dollar actually against all 8 currencies right now. I'm just using the dollar as my kind of crude gauge. If you're getting a divergence, say on dollar CAD here, but it looks like it's setting up for a buy, right? So it really does look like a buy. So if I was to kind of intervene at this point, I'd get rid of all my take profits, but I could be wrong. So I'm going to put sells up here. I think there's going to be some crazy climax move today, and it comes ripping back. So, or it's done. Who knows? I mean, because if you go to the 4-hour, you could say, oh, this is the bottom that just became a top. We're going to start walking down now. I can draw my first trend line, waiting for the close of this bar chart. You can make any argument you want, but if you were going to reduce your overall margin, you might take this one off the table. It could be a winner, but it wouldn't matter because you can have orders down here to trade the bounce. So you're going to put in a scalp bank like this. This is a 6 pip window. And if you place this right, you'll make 20 pips. Little miniature ice cubes here in the ice cube tray. Now if this lasted 15 minutes and the news was coming out, I could put in I don't think I have any 15-minute ones of these. So my 1-hour desk is here. Go to this. I'm just going to go like, okay, I'll buy that. If then in the next hour we can spike down in that, rip back up into this, which would be this bottom. So you're pre-planning this scenario on the 1 hour. Comes ripping down in, shebang, back up, 4 tickets, you're out. Go flat. Go to the next thing. Of course, now you have to have all these on the 4 hour and you'll lose your mind. If you stay on the daily and you got a day job, you know that you really want to load the wagon on this kind of trade here and make, well, at the end of the month, you've got a bunch of money. Here even, this bottom here, I think we're all aware of the fact that was supposed to be support. All the sellers are coming in up there. You got trade plans that make 80 pips. Of course, you got to wait. We got to wait for this thing to play out, this whole drama back up into this. At this phase of this, you're supposedly in an uptrend according to the daily closes. Your first glimmer, and everybody's going to bail here if they can by the end of the year. But actually, you could go wackadoodle, engulf that whole thing, and go screaming up. So anything's possible. I wouldn't leave anything off the table of possibilities. You see, I've ever seen a spike that's just mind-blowing. Look at the spike down here. That's I must have cashed out of something, but I should have had maybe 2-hour orders. It depends how much you want to trade it. So here I could buy a 16 pip range for the next hour, 25 pip stop, looking to make a retest of that top. So you can play around here with a bunch of stuff that's pretty low risk, because if it only lasts 15 minutes for this drop, it's 8 pip range, 5 pip stop. So that's truly a scalp there. That's about as scalpy as it gets, and you're going to get stopped out of some of that. So you're saying I'll buy 5 tickets on a 4 pip range for just that little itty bitty move. You're going to have to relate it to this now. This is a 15-minute chart, so that trade, if that was 100K, this would be say a 15-minute buy limit. I do want to buy this. I do think it's going up. I'm already long. Can I add to it on pullbacks so when I go wrong, the first moment it goes wrong is right here, and I can just play this range here until the news actually does come out. So this whole time here I could have been playing 1 hour badminton here and have a buy limits down at the edge for the new low if they take it to a new low here. So as this was coming down, you can see the trade plan is to buy new lows. Buy, dump, or sell dump. Selling new highs. Super tight stops, 5 pip to make 10, 1 hour. And then you build this whole system like this. You're trading around the fact that we went sideways here, and you got sell limits and buy limits super tight, it breaks out, crushes out, maybe you don't get filled, equal legging. You could also have a button that just puts in, or you just put in your super tight stops when it goes sideways. After this big move, hopefully you're getting filled on something at the 50 to make the, but here the spread is 1.5 pips, so you're kind of, that's your enemy. You don't want to buy on stops as it's going up here because you're getting a shitty price. You better to buy the 50-yard line area very densely. Just saying. It's how dense these orders are. Now here's the pullback, and I might get it filled on this, and my target is so, here's an 8 pip range. And then you just, instead of trading 100K on one ticket, at least you can survive some of this garbage. A lot of the volatility that, it's great when the market's going your way, but so if I was going to build a new low entry, I'd start buying everything from here down and looking to capture that. And I put an order here and go all the way back to here. This is 1 hour orders though. So if the news is about to come out, this is the 1 hour chart. You can see, well, here's a slow meltdown. Your orders would have to last at least 4 hours to catch that pullback. Okay, we're waiting for that euro now. Crude oil's coming out in 15 minutes. It looks like they've backed this puppy up as far as they can. They trapped at the end of the year here. So all those orders there on the daily look pretty insane, but you're basically buying, you're really just buying at the market. You're adding more practically. So when you switch time frames, you can see how here it looks like, wow, that's not so bad. That's a 4 hour chart. We could come back here, crush everybody out, and then go through the roof. Or we're just going to go crush everybody. This is the top, and we're going to come all the way back through the floor now. So it's one or the other. And so we're looking for the dollar to get smashed across the board in domino theory. The sells will start kicking in here pretty soon. Yeah, 15 minutes to crude oil. 15 seconds to crude oil report. This should rock the market. So this is where we're going to find out if the dominoes unfold properly. And added some more tickets. I got $1,500 in margin. Now I'm up $250, and here comes the news. So we should get a big smash grab here, and hopefully I can get into about $3,000 in margin and make about $1,500 by the top of the hour. Well, by London close, of course, going into the final swing here of the week. I'm sensing a big gust of wind. The dollar getting crushed right now. I'm watching 3 pairs against the dollar, or 3 currencies: Australia, pound, euro. The main focus. If I would not be selling this, if I missed the top of that, I guess people are having a heyday scalping the controversy whether or not it's going to hold this. And this is a pullback, or it could be lights out. I think it's lights out. So I put all my pullback orders in super deep here. Like a scalp down here or something. Okay, the dominoes are off, and now we're waiting for the European close and the dumping of the dollar, and maybe the stock market's going to tank. So the sellers came in at the Alexander Elder entry on a 9-period simple moving average or whatever. See how they entered there. They trapped the bulls here on this breakout. So if they got in here, they're slightly up on the trade right now. They look into, but if you look down, look below, it's kind of scary. Big hole's been forming in the Dow Jones. A lot of forced liquidations because of tax reasons here. Broke the trend line back there, and it didn't make the expected top of the channel. If you built it off of here, this is divergence as it drifts away from that top channel. If you just edit out even this wick here, if you put the wick in the formula, then you're talking about a trend line break here, but then it kept going up a little bit, so maybe got trapped. Okay, Australia's leaving the station. The leader out of the gate right now is Australia. So Australia versus the, although the yen is strong, I think that's going to keep tanking. So it looks like so much for that theory that you jump on a trend. That looks baked. Okay, the pound's still pulling back though. Pound's still coming back. Maybe I'll pick up a few more tickets. So I'm holding it 188 up, waiting for euro close. The way the big boys coming to market. Follow the money. This may be the best 20 minutes of the day right here. As you come into the top of the hour, look at this puppy screaming north, going after these money management stops. So sell all the way up into that for the scalperoonie for the all day long here. So I can set it and forget it here, and put the super greedy targets out here with the bigger ones way up in the nosebleed. So if you get a later on tonight, like if it actually takes profits, if you did it right, you can scalp the this window here and have the bigger, still have this bigger pennings sitting out here to get hit later on. So if you had a scalp, go to the trusty scalp bank and put those right on the top of the wicks for the 1 hour psycho scalp off of that. And then, so baby little scalp banks in there, and then you got these broad 16 pip ones that start, say, here, because you can only imagine how frantic behavior would take place here at this monster pivot, where this bottom becomes this top, and there's all this big Donnybrook there, big fight. Okay, so we got a spike in the euro. Euro looks like it's hell-bent on going north through the, don't forget this euro's been taken in the alley and raped, to put it mildly. If you had a channel off of that, this would be your divergence right now. You're not making your expected channel targets from last week, and you got the closing price trend line that you're itching to break. That you kind of have a narrowing of volatility coming down into this. It's one of those classics. Here, you already broke this, so people are already long on that first break, that big blast, and here would be the more conservative trend line drawing as you're waiting for the break of this. Sellers didn't come in there. It was supposed to keep tanking, and there's only one more trend line you can draw when you're doing a close. Limits the amount of lines you can draw. So say bye-bye to the dollar. I think it's put a fork in it. If you go to the weekly, you're talking about a huge trap under the floor right now on the weekly euro. I saw this on a 15-minute chart. It just like very short buy new lows. Same old story, buy new lows. And if you bought that new low, you're at break even right now. Maybe slightly above water. Had you bought this one like a psychopath, you're underwater, and you bought all the way down here. So you committed to a 150 pip zone. A lot of fun here on the weekly, slamming around. Pretty low risk stops on that, but we could get a completion now. And of course, the dream is that for the bulls is we come back into this at some point. This triple bottom, internal triple bottom, way back. Way back when? Now this is clearing north right now, coming into the sell banks. And I could put riskier stuff in. I could trade closer with a shorter expiration, so 1 hour to go all the way up here and just spike up 50 pips clean, bam, and then retract off of that, come flying back off of that. So the pound's not done tanking. If that's true, the pound's not done tanking, and it could still come back in. So to orchestrate all these things, you'd have to be scalping out of something that just cashed out on 8 pairs like this, but have it built into it so that you know that's a scalp, a little mini iceberg down here, and you know that's there all week, and it's just going to do that one function. That's a retrace or a bounce zone. Same thing on the top side. Put all these cells up here in case we go spiking up here. It's going to capture those, cash out on the way back. If my first sell limit starts, a 150 pip window of sell limits, all different prices, hopefully. Of course, you won't know until you zoom in, until you really zoom in on that. You won't know until you stretch it. If you stretch it like this, you can start seeing maybe there's too many at one price or something. Okay, here comes the dollar. Dollar's going to just get his nuts sheared off right now. 15-minute window. Here comes the 15-minute people, 15-minute robots, and the 15-minute people. Don't forget all these robots are programmed by people. If we take out last week's high right now on the, because you could go to the, since you're at the end of the week, you could go to the weekly. Talk about no setups, no pattern, but here you're buying this internal top, see, on the weekly. That's the reason for this entry. You're buying this internal top. In other words, it's the top that started that whole big move. It came back to that. That's a real pivot. That's not one of those stupid ass floor pivots. That is ridiculous. Who even thought they could do that? Like, see, there's closing pivot. So that makes sense, right? You've seen that pattern a million times. Floor pivots? When there's no floor. Floor pivots, really. See, this weekly chart forces you to realize there's no fucking setup here. There's no flag, there's no nothing. It's just climaxing. And to think this was going to keep going up, you got to be out of your fucking mind. Let's get on that train. The guy that did that video, I was watching it and I just thought, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, maybe you made money on that scalp there. Maybe you made money on this thing, but you had to realize, man, this thing's in serious trouble. Look at the weekly. End of the week. Look at this thing pulling back. Party's over, man. Dollar's baked. Put a fork in it. Look at the trap up here. It's a 20 pip trap. Ouch. It could go up. So I'd sell it if it went up more. Definitely sell if it went up more. But look at the weekly. Scary. You're buying up here? Like, who would buy up here? Whew. Brutal. I think you want to buy down here. So you want to buy this. Comes back to this area here. Maybe sell a little bit here. Of course, it's all time frame dependent. This is the weekly. If you go to the daily, you'd say, well, I scalped my 50 pips off the top. I'm good. If all you did was trap trade that with a 20 pip stop to make 80 pips, that was great. That was a fantastic 1-2 punch. You don't have to wait so damn long to realize the... So if this is the sweet spot and everybody's going to bail here, then you got to bail there. Comes back to the floor it took out on the weekly. It still could be in for, by next week you could be all the way back to here on this thing. But I'd certainly be cashing out along the way. So I'm cashing out all the way to here, this bottom wick. I'm not going to bank on the greedy target. Okay, Australia's breaking out heavy on the 4 hour here. Got a perfect pullback. So I already cashed out of something apparently, because I just lost some margin. So waiting for the top of the hour. So we're nudging up against the high on the weekly. We're within about a few pips of the weekly high on the euro. Pound smashing back, as you can imagine, as the euro climaxes into these sell banks, the euro against the pound. Kicking total ass right there into the sell bank. It's picking up some more margin. I'm up on this, I'm up on that. Okay, looking to get filled on buy limits. So just put massive buy limits in for a 20 pip range here. Go for the catch a falling knife, 40 pip range on the pound. Pound comes smashing down in. Euro up into this order bank. Okay, picked up some more margin. And up 230 bucks. Waiting for the top of the hour, 5 minutes smash and grab ATM. So I'm not going to bother to delete these buy limits. I have this buy limit sitting here to get filled on a pullback of the dollar to the CAD for a 50 pip window of pullback there. And these might be the 1 hour ones I was putting in there. So if these are 1 hour scalps at the wick here, I wouldn't feel too afraid to put that order in. That's a high probability bounce zone if they're going to smash the dollar here. And they would smash it back into that, and the same thing here. And crushing back into previous support. We just took out the low from 2 days ago. Started to trigger a bunch of money management bots there that got in on for some reason, or just money management people. Robots are people too, people. Just robots are people. Same diff. They just make automatic dumb decisions. Automatically retarded decisions. Okay, about to take out the high of the week on the euro within about 2 pips here. Go to the daily, and all of a sudden it looks completely different. So if you're looking at the weekly and you're just looking at the amount of pips you're trying to make, you can see all these trades. If you have a day job, this is really the way you would do it. You would just have the daily and you just put a bunch of orders in like this. And I don't think this will get filled in the next hour, but imagine the news comes out. Market comes smashing down here. And then it bounces off that zone. There you go. So the euro just took out the high of the day. And see how much follow through we get. big cash out here, 2 minutes before the top of the hour. Psycho Euro close, we could make, say, $500 here. Coming into this, now here's where the dominoes are going to unfold, and we're going to find out if we gauge this right, how well we orchestrated all these different instruments with limit orders only. And you got 1 minute 30 seconds. Then looking for follow through. We're looking for the dollar to just keep on getting annihilated. But scalping out of something here, I hope. Not in as big as I want to be. Limited because I chose to get in on these. Of course, I'm getting filled on that dollar CAD, I think, as it crushes back in. But that might be good for a scalp. And if these are scalp orientated, so it's tight stop, and it's going to have that at least double your money ratios. Okay, well, there's nothing you can do now. After you set up the dominoes, you just have to wait for the whole series to unfold. Got 30 seconds, top of the hour. Look at him scream this puppy all the way back. The Euro's going to clear the trees here of last week's high. So not only are we making a new high this week, we're going after last week's high. Then there's a 50 pip window there. I should probably get rid of these sell limits. I put these sell limits up there that last all week. So I'm going to close. I'm going to just pluck those off because it looks like it's going to go roaring up into that. If it does, if it get a huge washout, end of the year shutdown here. It's almost like the last day of the week, Thursday here. Okay, there you go. It's 11 o'clock. Either going to get some vicious follow through here. Australia looks very bullish. I mean, it's going up. Looks like it could go up. And the New Zealand. Look at the weekly. The weekly target is that close there 50 pips away. So you're looking to make 50 pips possibly today on that, and this dollar Swiss, if you would have sold right up on the top of the wicks there. There's the still retracement going on here. The weekly, so everybody's on the weekly, and this looks like a painfully obvious double top. Sold up there with a 25 pip stop, you'd be up 120 pips. And just gonna have to looking for this to pop above the round number, above the 50. Take out the high there. The pound's the laggard. This is also coming up into this. There's a top becomes a doji right there. That's 75 pips away. So if you're putting in, say if that was a 15-minute chart, you put a sell bank up there. Okay, so it's just, now we just wait, cashing out on some of this euro right now. Looking for sellers to come in for the big swing target is that last known bottom. Okay, looking for follow through. Wait for the all the dominoes to fall. Cashing out along the way. Here comes the pound bringing up the rear. So pound's bringing up the rear on that. Okay, make sure I got no. So I'm out of my euro and I'm still holding pound in Australia. That's the triple. So I have 3 currencies there. New Zealand is bringing up the rear. Its targets here. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll come up into the floor that we took out, and it's over. Today should be the day we can make some money. You hold this through the when it clears up into this. Okay, this is crapping out already. So the sellers came in on the they just couldn't push it anymore. So I would expect the pound to go up here. So the pound's holding this line here, and this is obvious. Huge move there that you had to take something off the table there. They've trapped the, I don't know if I got filled on any of these, but see my sell limits were up in this window. Maybe I picked up a few tickets here. So the daily wicks, you're selling up there as the pound, now the pound's coming back pissed off. Nobody makes the pound sit in the corner. So the pound's all pissed off coming back hard. And that's the today's psycho trading. 8 pairs on a daily chart is a lot of work. Weekly chart, not so much. But you would just have to wait a long time to get filled on a retest of the weekly. Like this here, you had to wait like how long? A long time to the market to come all the way back to this price. And that could be, that's a double bottom on the monthly. And here it's just a nice walk down the into this hall. So I'm just day trading it, I suppose, for the early targets. Can't really worry about that. Look at the weekly, though. Certainly the weekly, even if you have a 4-hour chart, so if you have a 4-hour chart and a weekly chart, and you see that you're at the outskirts of town way down here, look at the 4-hour and you see a double bottom at the same time. Okay, get another gust of wind out of the Australian now. Australian's pissed off. All these currencies are so... The dollar just wreaked havoc. Okay, this is backing off pretty hard here on the euro versus pound. It looks like this goose is cooked over here. Making new lows, ready to make a new low here, so the sellers came in on the top of that channel possibly. Here comes the 5-minute traders jumping on the bandwagon here, so looking for a vicious sell-off in the dollar right now. Took out the floor. All the breakout traders on the daily are loving it to the downside. Same thing here, total retraction, dollar CAD. Waiting for targets to get here on the New Zealand. And the pound's coming back with a vengeance. It's all pissed off. Coming back up into the floor there. Head to the bottom of the hour, and the Australian dollar is going after the high of the week. So we already had the pop in the... It's like a domino. We had the euro go against the dollar. It popped up. Now we're looking for the same pop and take profits on a burst of 10 pips on Australia. And the laggard, the whole last nail in the coffin is the British pound turns around. So come back here in a half hour. So I had to go off in my Lamborghini and warm it up because it's snowing out. And I got to do the driveway later with it. Alright, so we're waiting for this market to break out and take out the wick here. Went back to the daily. We're waiting to shave off these 2 wicks into my profit zone. 30 pips away. I'm going to let it ride. Finish off the week. Looking for the dollar to plunge here. dollar down, and everything else up. This is about to cash out. The shorts on that, very close to cashing out. Here's one. I got two sells up there. Okay, that's it. We're just going to have to wait, and that's all there is to it. It goes on and on. The drama goes on and on and on. It's just ridiculously boring. If it was any more boring, it would be boring. Okay. Yes, it's boring.